everybody. I'm Kate Conroy.
And I'm Vanessa Vitello.
And this is Other People's Business, which is the podcast from the New Jersey Business and Industry Association, which is the largest statewide business association in the country. We release a new episode every other Wednesday, so be on the lookout for that. Better yet, just subscribe, and then you don't have to be on the lookout at all. It just shows up. It's
Absolutely.
amazing. Shout out to New Jersey.
njbia.org/subscribe if you're looking to do that.
There you go. Thank you. If I step on your lines, I should do it properly.
No, I don't want to do that anymore. I think like rather than having my whole little segment after this, we'll
2 years down the line, people should know how to...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, we're on iTunes, we're on Google Play, all that.
Fair.
Just if you're watching this now, if you're hearing me, just keep doing what you're doing.
Exactly. Shout out to New Jersey Manufacturers Insurance. They do home, auto, and workers' comp, and they are the official sponsor of the show, so check them out if you need updated coverage.
Absolutely. So with us today, and I have this right here, author of Career in Transition is Mark Beal. So Mark, say hi. Let the audience hear your voice.
Hey, great to be here, guys. Thanks for having me. I look forward to talking about the books, Gen Z, and everything else we'll cover today.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Thanks so much. Okay, so today's icebreaker is, would you rather have a relaxing vacation or an active vacation?
Oh, I'm an active vacation. I'm planning already 20 days from now. I'll be in Cabo San Lucas, climbing mountains, jumping out of airplanes, all that kind of fun stuff.
You got every minute accounted for? You got the whole agenda?
I don't like to keep it all accounted for. I like to keep it, but every day's got to be an adventure. I always ask when I present it to companies and conferences, I always ask the question, when was the last time you did something for the first time? When was the last time you did something? Because it's this idea that a lot of us kind of get in routines and ruts, and we've got to go out there and at least try new things.
This is your first time on other people's business?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is it. Every day
is an adventure.
Every day, if you can do something new, again, it just helps you evolve and transform and think differently and all that. So
sure.
Very cool. Then what about you?
No, I'm definitely a relaxing vacation guy, but I don't get to do it because the wife is an active vacationer, and
she wins.
She wins. Yeah. And the baby likes to be active. As weird as that sounds,
she's more outdoorsy than you are as a 2-year-old.
She's more outdoorsy than the two of us put together. So it's weird. It's weird that happened. But I would like nothing more than to just lay on a beach and not do anything for a week. But
sounds
I don't get to do it. Maybe one day I'll just take that vacation and not tell anybody. You
need to write a book about that. I like that.
I
like this book idea.
Yeah.
Well, how about you?
So, same. I think I would prefer a relaxing vacation, but I never take them. A year ago, last week, I was in Japan. Didn't speak the language, met friends, had to navigate a completely foreign culture, sort of on my own without a lot of help. And I did it, and it was fun, and I had a great time, but it was not relaxing. And then in May, I did a bus tour of Ireland with my family. So much fun, not relaxing.
But fun.
But super fun.
Some of the friendliest people in the world. Ireland.
Totally
Love
agree.
Ireland. Love it.
Totally agree. Super friendly.
If you've never been, you've got to go.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I was going to say, while you were in Japan, she was texting me, telling me the things she was doing. And I remember you saying, you were checking out a big, 30-foot statue of Gundam.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, you know Gundam? And you're like, no. And I'm like, she must be a hardcore vacationer to be like, I don't even know half this stuff, but I'm going.
Again, I was with friends, and I was sort of along for the ride. They were sort of dictating what the plans were, and I was like, okay, sure, whatever. So we took a train to this man-made island off the coast of Japan where the Japanese military, had been for years and years and years. And then after World War II, it was mandated that they dismantle the military on this island, and now it's just shopping malls and Gundams and I don't even know if I said that right, but
sure,
there's
it's fine.
a 30-foot tall. I was calling it a Voltron because in my head that's what it looks like.
I'm gonna commit a geek blasphemy here. It's all the same thing.
Thank you.
Transformers, Gundam, Voltron.
It looks like Voltron to me.
They're all robots that turn into something else.
That's exactly right. And I swear to God, it was 10 o'clock at night, and the whole crew that I was with insisted on staying another hour to stay into the cold because every hour at the top of the hour, the Gundam would move. He would do something like that.
You see, for that.
And I was like, really? They were like, it's gonna be amazing. Just wait. And we stood in the cold and we waited for an hour, and it did the thing, and I was the most underwhelmed I've ever been in my entire life.
You were better off just relaxing on the beach.
I was like, we could have been home by now. Come on.
Give me an example of something you've done on a vacation that was super active-y, super adventure-y.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, like I said, we go to Cabo San Lucas almost every year. Jump out of an airplane from 10,000 feet up is always fun.
Nice, yeah.
Last year we tried a little adventure. It wasn't quite a motorcycle, wasn't quite a moped. It was probably a scooter that went 50 miles an hour. We wanted to go up to this town called San Jose, 30 miles away. So we said to guys renting these vehicles, can we take one? Two of us go on one. Sure. Can we go on that highway? No problem. We get on the highway. It's like the New Jersey
You don't
Turnpike.
need a license or
Oh my
anything?
No,
God.
nothing. We're in the right lane on this scooter vehicle pushing 50. Cars are going by at 70, 75, 80. How we made it, I don't know.
Yeah.
We made it, and somehow we made it back too. We said this year we're not doing that. That was more exhilarating perhaps than jumping out of the airplane.
I would imagine, just going like unlicensed on some motorcycle looking thing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my
But it's always,
God.
depending on where you are, as you said, what country, what culture. I mean, you kind of want to immerse yourself in the experiences there and try things.
Yeah.
When you're in Rome, right?
So how many times have
Absolutely.
you jumped out of an airplane?
Twice. So we've done that twice. We've done it right over the beach, over the Sea of Cortez in Cabo San Lucas, and you land on the beach. So this is even great, too. So last time we landed, you're landing within 5-10 feet of people sunbathing. And I mean, right on the beach, a crowded beach. So luckily, whoever you're going with, the professional who you're tandem jumping with, he better know his stuff. Because
I was going to say,
Seriously.
if you
it is
shouted, get
tight.
out of the way!
I know, right?
It's a tight landing space, but
I was
it's
going to
gorgeous.
say, when I did that, like I jumped out and we had to land on grass, sand might be a little nicer. You
Yeah,
know, like a
yeah,
little
could
bit of
be. Yeah.
Give.
Yeah.
Would you ever do that again and do it on a beach like that?
I don't know. I feel like you do it.
You did
can
it,
Say
you've
you done
done
it.
it.
You know. Like,
Yeah.
Now that's my feeling about parasailing. I've done that once, and it was
I'd like to do
and it
that.
was fine. But it was a little too relaxing for me. I mean, you just kind of sit there.
Yeah.
But I would do
What
it
I really
once.
wanna
But I would
is-
do it once.
Yeah, whitewater rafting. Speaking
Oh,
of like too
sure.
relaxing, like that's one of those ones that's a little like more on the dangerous side.
Absolutely.
Have you done that?
Yeah, but not in the dangerous rapids.
I mean, I don't want it to be too dangerous.
No, no.
It's, again, just to be able to say you did it. Like nobody's gonna ask you, is this like a black diamond kind of a situation?
Seriously. Oh my God. No, I don't have any interest in that. I don't
Okay.
want to go in the water at all.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's a little too scary.
Sure.
Even if it's not, I don't know. I'm a little too chicken.
Shout out to Wendy LaRue. She's one of our
Yeah, that's
staff
right,
members. She
Wendy.
does stuff like that all the time.
Does she? Yeah.
so,
Yeah. Absolutely, she does.
Oh. All right. So, Mark, tell us about Gen Z.
Gen Z. So I'll give you a little backstory on it first. So I spent the last 25 plus years in New York with a great agency, Taylor, one of the leading public relations and marketing agencies, especially in the sports and entertainment space. And then 6 years ago, Rutgers said, would you teach one course in public relations? Now, I went to Rutgers, graduated from there back in '89, so I was eager to teach one course. One course turned to two, turned to three. Now I'm full-time. Of course. As a full-time professor of public relations in their School of Communication and Information. Well, so I combine my 25 plus years in marketing with now I'm spending every day with these Gen Zers. So Gen Z, for those who don't know, anyone born officially starting in 97, unofficially, let's say 1995 through about 2010. So the oldest Gen Zers just graduated college, they just started working, they're changing the workforce. You've got a bunch right in college, some in high school, and a few in kind of middle school and elementary school. And so I get to every day collaborate with these students. So I get to hear, what's trending on social media. What are they preferring? Why is TikTok all of a sudden becoming something that the National Football League and others are investing in? Why is Facebook for old people? And Gen Zers do not yet want anything to do with it. Last week I had 35 of my students in the class, and I had 25 students come from Wall High School as part of a field trip. The Wall High School Business Academy. So it's 20, had 60. I said, this is great. So I used the whole class as a way just to, survey them. I asked the high school students, how many are on Facebook, even a little bit? Not one hand. Zero.
Not even a little bit.
Zero.
Wow,
If you ask the
okay.
college students that, 1 or 2 out of 35, maybe. I do surveys all the time on Gen Z, and it's about 6%. Not one high school student. So, what you learn by hanging out with them, what's most popular now, of course, is Instagram, and because of Instagram stories. Snapchat is probably a close second. They do use Twitter a little bit, and it's more to just get news, information, whether that's about pop culture, entertainment, not really to share content. But you hear all these things. And the biggest thing and the biggest messages for, again, businesses, especially if Gen Z will become a target or is a target audience, they just don't consume traditional media. They don't watch the 5 o'clock news. They don't watch Good Morning America. They don't read a newspaper. So they still consume media and content, but they're getting it in different ways and from different sources. There was a really good article a few weeks ago in the New York Times by a Gen Zer who interned there this summer, and he said,
That's a paradox. Like,
yeah,
they
yeah.
don't read it, but they wrote it.
yeah, exactly. Well, the story, the whole story was, I'm a member of this cohort called Gen Z, and yes, we do consume information. Yes, we seek information. We just don't seek it from traditional sources. So he spent his summer at the New York Times creating kind of a Gen Z-friendly program for where Gen Zers would be more apt to go get information. So that's the biggest thing for, again, companies, businesses, marketers, advertisers. How do you market to a generation that doesn't want to be marketed to in a traditional sense?
And is that what this is about?
Well, that's what this book's about, Decoding Gen Z.
Decoding Gen Z.
So I traveled the country. I interviewed Gen Zers from age 13 to 23, high school freshmen to those who just graduated college. And again, it's all about those insights. What do you prefer on social media? What are you looking for in a future employer, in a future business that you're going to go work for? How should companies market you if you don't respond to traditional marketing? And so that's all the things it's about. And I'm probably on a weekly basis speaking somewhere to some organization who's saying, we need to understand this generation. They are going to be the next biggest generation for us. This year, Gen Z became the largest generation in this country. So there's more Gen Zers than millennials. There's more Gen Zers than boomers. And
you didn't even mention Xers.
And I didn't even mention Xers yet, which I am.
You feel like that.
And they have, a significant economic influence. Now, a lot of them, it may be because they influence their parents, right? But they do have influence. So now and over the next 10 or 15 years, not that millennials are going anywhere, but I think millennials who had been the focus for a lot of organizations, companies, businesses, are kind of a little bit more in the rearview mirror, a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I think Gen Z will become a primary, again, for many organizations. So I'm fascinated, but again, I have this great opportunity where every day, when I leave here, I'm going to go teach at Rutgers. I'm going to be with 35 Gen Zers, and I will just hear new things that are trending, things that they're gravitating towards. I mentioned TikTok.
Wait, what's the class about? Because
my class is a marketing class.
Hanging around.
Yeah. So
who's teaching who here?
That class is a 400-level course called Media Marketing and Communication. So a marketing course. In fact, they're at the phase of the course now where I identified real-world clients for them and brought them in last week. So they met with CEOs of organizations here in New Jersey, businesses in New Jersey, and they got to meet them and kind of, conduct a discovery session with them and understand what their marketing challenges were. And now over the next 4 to 5 weeks together, we'll create marketing recommendations and they'll present that as their final project. But every week, you just hear, I'm sure we all saw this, but in the last few weeks, right? The Popeye chicken sandwich.
The Popeye's chicken sandwich is back. At least as of the time that I'm saying
they keep
this.
selling it.
You never know
that's
if it'll be sold out again by the time this airs.
But that was a hot topic of discussion this whole semester, right?
Yeah.
Just the idea of, that it truly did engage them, that some of them drove miles and miles and miles to try that chicken sandwich. So that was a brand that figured a way to, again, engage them and get them to perhaps, try the product. So it's those kinds of things.
We drove, I want to say it was like 40 minutes to go to Popeyes, and it was the first time I was at Popeyes in 10 years. So
Did they
yeah,
have the sandwich?
and I didn't even get the sandwich. No, it was sold out. It was like one of those first couple days it was sold out.
Yeah.
I was like, what are you talking about? You don't have sandwich. How difficult? You got chicken. Is it the bun? Was that really the problem? I don't know.
Yeah, isn't that nuts?
Yeah, so it's interesting. So Gen Z will tell you, so when I do and I do surveys every 3 months with Gen Zers across the country, so online surveys, just to, again, refresh the data, see where things are going, see what's becoming more popular. And what they'll tell you is the number one way to market to them is give them an experience that they can immerse themselves in and share on their social media channels, right? They want social media currency. They want to brag a little bit. They want to flex those muscles and say, I was at this event or here or there, and they want to share it.
So a little tip for event planners out there.
Oh, absolutely. I think personally, if you're in event marketing, event planning, event management, I've said this in a speech not too long ago. You're getting into what I think will be the golden age for that because more and more companies and brands are going to rely on event management companies to create these, again, immersive experiences that are what we call Instagrammable. So they can be shared and socialized. And ultimately, that's, in marketing, if you can get a consumer, whether it's Gen Z or any other consumer, to advocate for your brand by simply sharing it on social media and saying, I had a great experience at this location, at this business, with this company, and I'm sharing it to all my followers. They're not paying you to do that.
That's right.
You're not a paid influencer. You're doing that just because you genuinely believe that this company has done a nice job. I enjoyed my experience, and I want to share that now. So ultimately, that's where brands and businesses want to get with Generation Z, where they're advocating on behalf of your company or your business, but they're not, paying you to do that. You're not a paid spokesperson. So.
Right.
I mean, that's what Firefest was, right? Remember?
No, yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they wanted to put on an event that was basically an Insta event, like everything that you would ever want to throw on your Instagram. And then in order to promote it, they got as many like big social media influencers as they could to all put it on their feed at the exact same time and say like, hey, you want to be here? And then the whole thing wound up being a huge scam. But you know,
It did.
in theory, that would be like the template that you'd want to like go for from here on out.
Yeah, I think the other big thing with Gen Z, and we're talking about again businesses, is I just had a phone call as I came in today, is that companies will have to slowly evolve and transform. And I think millennials start this, but just policies that they've had in place for years, but they need to change it if they really want to recruit and retain the best talent. And again, whether that's millennials or Gen Z. So, I talk about things like WFA, work from anywhere. 10 years ago, you would never have thought about that. I can work from anywhere. I can well, more and more and more as we get into 2020 and beyond, that's going to be something that companies are going to have to start thinking about because, again, the best talent may say, well, if I can't get it here, I may be able to get it from another business or company. So things like that. This generation, the quote I always use, which I wish I said, but it was from the CMO of MTV. She said, this is the first generation that learned to swipe before they could wipe. And the idea was that they had technology in their hands from age one, right?
That's quite literally true. My daughter knows how to do all of that.
So what that means, though, is they love technology. They want technology if it helps improve efficiency, effectiveness, getting the job done quicker. But they're looking for companies to have that, too. So, again, if you're a antiquated company and you're just kind of using old technology, old computers, old this and that, it's not going to be that attractive. But if you're always thinking about how do we make things more efficient, how do we make it so that we could really work from anywhere, because I have access to things I need and I've got my computer and my phone and all that. So that's the other side of the equation with Gen Z is the oldest ones just joined the workforce last year and this year. For the next 10 years, companies and businesses are going to be hiring Gen Zers who are graduating. And I think they're going to have to really give thought to, again, how do we, for those Gen Zers we really love, how do we retain them? How do we keep them here so that we just don't have a revolving door? And so you've got to think about all those things at the company. From, again, it's a variety of things, from working from anywhere to working remotely to having an organization that is inclusive and prides itself on being diverse. And I mean, it's a lot of things. But those are things that this generation is looking for.
And I feel like the mindset has shifted so drastically. Like most baby boomers had 1, maybe 2 jobs, and they were there for 30 years, 25 years, something like that. And I'm an Xer. You're an Xer? I will probably end up having maybe 3 or 4. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. And
10 to 15
they will
years
probably
each.
have 7 or 8.
Exactly. That's exactly right. It's starting with the millennials.
Yeah.
They're not afraid to say, I have learned everything that I can learn in this spot.
Yep.
There's no room for advancement. I'm leaving just to get a new experience, just to get more skill sets, just to advance myself for myself. I don't care that it's scary to make a change. I don't care if the money is going to be the same. I don't care if I work for somebody terrible because I currently love my boss.
Sure.
I'm fine with all of that because I need to grow. And Zers, I think, are going to be even more aggressive and impressive in that respect.
Yeah, they are. So I really, one of the things aside from my loving that I teach at Rutgers, which I do love, I graduated from there, I just love Rutgers, but the greatest thing I take pride in is helping my students get internships, get jobs, get experience, and then I maintain those relationships. So to your point, I've had students who graduated 3-4 years ago who are now into their 3rd job.
Yeah.
And I don't look at that as unusual because I think in today's world, you said it best, they're looking to transform and grow and innovate. And they kind of have a feeling when they've done it at this place and now it's like, okay, well, maybe I'm on for my next challenge. So there's nothing wrong with that.
And there's nothing, they're not scared of it.
And they're not scared of it. No, they're not at all.
And the way that boomers are retiring like 10,000 a day at this point, I think that more and more of those jobs, I don't feel it yet that boomers are retiring 10,000 a day. I don't see it or feel it, but I know that eventually we all will.
Sure.
And I know that employers are thinking right now, they're starting to get nervous, like, how are we going to maintain the workforce that we have? Like, what are we going to, what are the processes that we're going to have to change because we're not going to be able to fill these jobs no matter how competitive we are with salary or working from anywhere, all of that stuff. But thinking outside the box, it's so impressive that employers are willing to do that, but it's just not going to be enough, I don't think.
No, it's it's completely changing.
Yeah.
The workplace is changing. The workforce is changing. You may have, to your point, even jobs and job titles now that won't exist in 10 or 15 years, right? So again, it's another reason why we should probably pay attention to this consumer segment, this cohort, kind of understand what are they all about, what makes them tick. So it's why I immerse myself. I have it, and then I'm with them all week. So I'm with them. So in being with them, I might as well truly understand, right?
Sure.
What are they looking for in a future employer?
Yeah.
If they're not watching traditional media, well, how do they get information? I mean, so I've just immersed myself fully into it because I truly believe that there's something there that can be shared with businesses, companies, organizations, marketers, even media companies. I'll give you a quick example. So the Emmy Awards aired a month or two ago. So next day, I had 2 or 3 classes the next day. So let's say I had 100 students in 3 classes. I just survey of hands. How many watched the Emmy Awards last night? So again, these
Can I make a guess?
Hold on. Yeah. So these are 19, 20, 21, 22-year-olds. So let's say out of 100.
1.
More than enough. 6.
Okay.
But to your point, if I'm the networks, this year was on Fox,
You're terrified.
and I knew that, I'd be like, okay, well, if that's 2019, what's going to happen in 20? To your
Yeah.
point, it's going to be 1 next year
Yeah.
and the following year, and that also to me is the same with the Oscars, where
Yeah,
the number
the
is
Oscars been
it
different
was
too.
slightly higher, maybe because that was in February, it was early in the year, but I think I had 10 or maybe 9 out of 100, slightly higher, and so their reaction is, okay, well, why not? And what they'll say is, there's no reason for me to sit for a 3 or 4 hour program when I can easily the next morning get snippets that I want to watch of my favorite actor, my favorite actress, my favorite musicians on my phone at my time. So it could be, well, I'm going cross campus on the bus to my next class. Well, I'm going to catch up on it right here, and it's just a more efficient use of my
totally
time.
right.
So that's a big thing. It's a time. There's a whole efficiency thing here where it's I want to be able to do things on my time wherever I am on this device, my phone, and so for that reason, I don't need to sit in front of a program that's on. In fact, they almost think that's just doesn't make sense. Why is there something on TV for 3 straight?
Yeah, it's arcane.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. And so if you're any of the networks and you're selling advertising against that, obviously you're selling advertising against a viewership number. Well, this year when the Emmys were over, not just my Gen Zers, but the viewership numbers were way down. So in the future, you have to figure out, how do I sell advertising against something that either is declining every year or we're losing an audience. So we have to figure ways to, again, transform the show into maybe a different kind of show, right? It lives in different forms and different ways. So it's great things to just think about and consider and almost look into the future and say, okay, well, where will the Emmys be in 10 years if only, as you said, 1 or 2 or 3 out of 100 are watching it now? Well, that's not going to go up in 10 years. Right. And Gen Alpha comes after Gen Z, and they're not going to watch the same show. So.
I was wondering
In fact,
what they were going to do.
how old is your child?
She's 2, so
Gen
she's
Alpha. Gen Alpha, yeah. Well, we'll write that book next, you and I.
Exactly,
We'll put that
yeah.
together.
Goodness. All right. I think we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to play a game.
Cool.
Okay, sounds good.
And we're back, and it is now time to play a game, my favorite game, called Awful or Awesome. I'm going to name 3 things in quick succession. We each have to decide whether or not they're awful or awesome, and be prepared to defend your answers. All right, ready?
I'm ready. I was born ready.
Thank you for clarifying. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
You've played this game before. I
I know.
have not.
I'm a regular on this show.
Yeah, so
Series regular.
I might go speechless here. No.
No, you will not. No, I purposely chose things that you'll have opinions about, I
Okay.
think. First up is cold calling.
Awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in conducting research before you reach out to anyone. No matter what it is you're trying to, for lack of a better word, sell. And I just, who are they? What are they all about? I'll give you a quick example. Last night I had a journalist come into my class to talk to my students, a public relations course. He said, I get so many cold calls. I hang up. I throw them, or if it's an email, I delete it. But if you took a little bit of time to understand what I write, what I cover, you actually read my last story. He goes, I'll pick up the phone. I'll talk to you because you actually did a little bit of research. So I'm a big believer in actually conducting that research before you reach out to anybody, whether it's a business connection or something else.
Totally agree. I think it's awful. In fact, I think cold calling is death. I think it's absolutely the worst thing you could possibly do, because for many of the same reasons, but also sales in general is a numbers game. Cold calling is a numbers game. If you do 100 cold calls, you'll get 10 people who will answer the phone. 1 person will maybe let you set up an appointment, and then you're walking into that meeting hoping to do your research, but that person has no interest really. They're going to be resentful immediately at the start of the conversation that you got them to agree to it. Yeah, I think cold calling is death.
Yeah, I'm not really in sales. I know from being the recipient guy.
Sure.
Like,
There you go.
those are never fun. Actually, one of the first couple times I talked to you, I used to get all these like things, really emailing, like cold emailing me about stuff, and it was all cake kind of stuff. So I just started like forwarding all of these. So I just started forwarding them all to Kate, and she gives me a call, and she's like, "Are these like people you know that like you're?" And I'm like, "No, I'm just sending you all my spam. How you like me now?"
I forgot about
And somehow we're here today. After all that.
I think that's how we got to be friends.
Yeah.
That's hilarious, because I called you and I was like, I don't understand.
Exactly. Well, why are you sending me these? And I'm like, well,
stuff?
I don't know. I don't want them, so here you go.
Seemed like you might be the person on staff who could best respond to these people.
Exactly.
I think that was your answer. And I was like, you just want me to tell them to go away? And
Exactly.
you're like, okay.
But you guys, even from your side, let's say there's a guest in this state you really want. There's some guest, CEO of some business. And to your point, you won't just cold call. I mean,
No.
okay, who knows that person?
Absolutely.
What's our connection? What's our angle?
Yeah.
Let's make it relevant to them.
Yeah.
And then let's figure out the best way to reach out to them. So, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, I feel like if you're thinking about what the experience is going to be like on the other end of the phone, you're ahead of the game.
Agreed.
You have
Absolutely.
to just make that experience as easy and painless and fun and interesting as possible. And if it's not, why would they talk to you?
That's right.
Why?
There's a great movie that came out last year. Sorry to bother you. You should check that out. It's all about
You've been
telemarketing.
Oh, really?
trying to get me to. Yeah, I'm writing that down again.
Write it down. Huh?
Sorry to bother you.
It's on Netflix at the moment. You never know in 2 weeks when this airs.
Okay.
Okay, I've never seen this play/movie, but isn't Glengarry, Glen Ross about
He's always
sales?
always selling.
Yeah.
Always selling, always closing the deal. I was going to go back to your point was, again, no matter what it is we're trying to get to, whether it's you guys are trying to get a big guest for this show and it's someone you've really wanted to get, to your point, well, there's a few ways to go about that.
Yeah.
One way is, cold call. Oh, it's not going to happen. But
Right.
maybe someone actually we knows someone, so that's at least getting us closer to that, and that person has more credibility with us because they know that person. If they say, hey, by the way, the hosts are going to call you up because they think there's a real good reason for you to come on the show, at least they'll be more apt to listen, understand,
Exactly.
maybe
I think so.
say, yeah, I'm going to be there. So
Yeah,
I agree with you
think
on
so. All right, next up, coffee appointments.
that.
This
So
is a gimme.
Again, I'm not really in sales, but
Right.
I like getting together with people. Sure.
So that's not really what I meant.
Yeah, I know.
Do you want to do the honors?
yeah, I'll do
Explain
the
what I
honors.
mean?
So anytime I speak, especially when I speak to whether it's Gen Z or just folks who are in transition in a career, I say, you got to get cup of coffee meetings. Now, I've never had a cup of coffee in my
Yeah.
life. Never.
I was gonna say I don't really drink the coffee.
I don't drink coffee either. I drink a lot
But
of
a cup
water.
of coffee meeting is just this way of, again, I'm not trying to get a formal interview. I'm not trying to get this formal meeting.
Right.
Can we just get together down the block for a cup of coffee, a slice of pizza? I've got something I want to run by. I want to, or whatever it might be.
Get to know you better.
Get to know you. I want to learn more about your company. I want to understand how they make hiring decisions.
Exactly.
It's those kinds of things. So I'm a big believer in cup of coffee meetings, cup of coffee appointments, because again,
Pizza
it's just
appointments.
pizza, very much so.
You could sign me up for just about any amount of time if you promise to be pizza.
Oh, there we go.
Exactly.
But just like you said, people are receptive to that. Sure.
Yeah.
I've got 30 minutes. Let's sit down, let's talk about it. I'll tell you everything I can about this company I work for, about this organization, whatever it might be. As opposed to, can I meet with you? I need a job and I want to come in and I need a job. And no, that's no.
Don't you love that when someone, you get an email, somebody wants to connect with you on LinkedIn, and so you do it, you don't know them, and the next thing you get is a direct message from them saying, hey, looks like you and I do similar things. I'd love to be able to tell you more about what I do, and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, are you really, for real right now?
I've noticed it goes back to what you say, this cold call emails that you send over.
Yeah.
I've
it's
noticed
that.
an uptick in this lately.
Yeah.
So someone on LinkedIn, you look and say, okay, and you maybe even see if they have connections with people you know, and say, oh,
Yeah.
sounds good. Within seconds.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
selling this. I'm selling that. What
Would you be
You re-
interested in
yeah.
taking a meeting with me? No.
Yeah. Within seconds.
Well, what'd you do accepting them?
Well, the
Well,
thing
again-
is, I have a very liberal policy when it comes to LinkedIn. I
Okay.
think that the world somebody said once the 6 feet rule. If you're within 6 feet of me, you're a prospect.
Okay.
Right? And so I look at the world that way in LinkedIn. Like, I am not going to say no to anybody on LinkedIn. We can all connect with each other, and we should all be networking, and it's great. And for the same reason, coffee appointments, sales is a numbers game. I want to know as many people as possible. I want as many people in my network as possible. But the direct sale approach 3 seconds after I've connected with you? No, thank you.
Or
No,
the same way,
first.
someone you follow someone on Twitter, and within seconds you've got this, message that says, "I think you'd like what I'm selling," or "I think you'd like, this business," and let's connect on that. So it's very interesting. It's funny you bring it up because the journalist last night, he brought that up right away. He said, unlike you, he doesn't connect with a lot of folks on LinkedIn, but when he does, it really is a turnoff when seconds later he gets that message that
Makes
says,
me want to unfriend you.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
not the word. It's not Facebook.
No, but you're right.
Yeah.
It's the same idea.
Yeah.
Give that guy some advice. So let's just say, rather than the immediate thing, what would you prefer? What's the better way for that person to get a hold of you?
You want to?
Well, I would just, again, what's happening lately, and again, I'm glad you brought it up because I just feel like this year, 2019, I'm seeing it more and more. It's this cookie cutter message
Template.
of
You
just a
can
template.
tell.
Just, I think you'd be interested in this. I sell this. I sell widgets, and I think you should buy more widgets. Right? As opposed to maybe one, not sending it 2 seconds after you accept it. But also just, hey, I know you and I have a connection in John Doe. He thought something I'm involved in you might want to hear about. So at least customize it a little bit, make it a little more personable, that kind of thing.
Or start slow.
Yeah.
Don't sell me anything. Maybe
definitely.
send me a direct message that's, hey, you do something that's really interesting. I would love to take you for a cup of coffee someday and learn more about it.
Cup of coffee meeting.
Cup of coffee
Slice
meeting.
of pizza.
Slice of
Slice of
pizza
pizza.
meeting. Yeah.
I did have, so it's funny you say that. So I spoke, and when I speak to, again, groups, especially executives in transition, I bring up the cup of coffee, and a guy came back to me after. He goes, how about a slice of pizza? And so he shot me an email that day, and I met with him for a slice of pizza. And we were meeting more to strategize about his career and where he could go. I didn't have a job for him. He wasn't looking. He was just looking for advice. But we did it over pizza, and
Yeah.
I do eat pizza. I don't drink coffee, but I
And
eat
the thing
pizza.
is, people tend to be very generous with their time and their advice if it's not like hard sell attached to it.
Well, I say it, and I think it's probably in all my books. I say 99% of the people in this world are givers. I
Yes,
believe it.
totally
They want to
agree.
help. They want to
Yeah,
collaborate. They
yeah.
want to anything they can do.
They're happy to help,
But
but you
you
can't.
got to take the right approach.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So, given all of that, do you have an awful or awesome on coffee appointments?
Oh, didn't I say in the beginning?
Did
I like
you?
it.
Oh, yeah,
Did
did
you?
you?
Sure, yeah. And I like this idea of the pizza appointment
I do
more.
too.
I feel like that sounds different
let's-
enough. Like if somebody comes to me, they're like, "You want to get coffee?" And I'm like, "Oh, really?" But if you came to me and you said, "Do you want to get pizza?" I'm like, "Oh, pizza.
So
that
here's
sounds
the-
good."
Let's start changing that phrase.
Yeah,
Let's start-
exactly.
yeah.
Flip the
Pizza
script.
I like
appointment?
that.
Here's the problem with that.
Sure.
I am somebody who will have 2 coffee appointments, a lunch appointment, and then 2 coffee appointments. Like sometimes my day is stacked
Wow.
that tight.
Sure.
I can't have one of those coffee appointments be pizza and be able to do lunch at the same time. Either
Okay.
before or after,
All right.
Okay.
Sorry.
So what would be an alternative, from somebody, who, yeah, what would you think?
Instead of coffee?
Instead of coffee, what would be like another, thing to hook you and reel you in? We're trying to give some advice because there's a lot of people probably out there that want to sell some stuff.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
think
And-
about this. What could be a nice alternative to coffee appointment?
Yeah.
I mean, I like coffee appointments,
Oh, okay,
but I
so
don't drink
you like-
coffee, so it's usually like
Yeah, there
a
you
bottle
go.
of water appointment for me or a
What
chai
I'm
latte.
getting
You know
at
what's
though
funny?
is
You know
like,
what's-
what can they say?
You know
'Cause,
what's funny here?
Yeah,
I'm just, no, as you're going through that.
sure.
30, 40 years ago, it would have been a martini. I'm just saying.
Oh,
but-
it's so true.
Isn't
How
that
about
funny
that?
how that's changed?
Somebody
though?
offered one of
But I'm
those
just saying
out
how
there.
it's changed.
Let's go get a drink.
Where years
It's
ago,
10 o'clock
that's-
in the morning.
it
Let's
would
go
have
get a
been there,
drink. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
It's just interesting
Let's
how
bring
that's
it back.
changed.
Hashtag bring back the martini.
Should we have a flask appointment?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Since we're moving to food, the
Sure.
Impossible Burger is the very last awesome. The Impossible
Have you had one of
Burger.
these?
So yes, let me give you my story on this. So
Sure. Oh, you
I'm
got
a
a
big
story,
believer. So this category is booming right now. I
Right,
mean,
yeah.
Yes.
there's so many brands getting involved now. The big food companies are getting involved. So I'm a big Beyond Meat guy. And Beyond Meat and Impossible Burger
Yeah,
are
it's
kind
like
of the
different brands,
Yeah,
right?
kind of the two that are the giants right now. But there's many other brands out there. I have not had an Impossible Burger. I've had Beyond Meat burgers. I just had 2 yesterday. Love them.
2?
2.
You had 2 of them.
2 of them, back to back. Not on top of each other, back to back.
Yeah.
But what it is, and it's
We
hard-
haven't gotten to a
it's hard
point yet where we're selling the
explain.
triple
It's hard to
Impossible.
explain if you haven't had it, but it's just, I don't know what the right word is. It just doesn't leave you. It doesn't have that greasy feeling. It doesn't leave you. you're satisfied, but I don't ever feel like I'm so full.
It actually looks and tastes like meat.
Yeah, so for the people
Which
out
makes
there
it
that haven't heard of this, because a week ago you didn't.
I hadn't heard of it.
Okay.
We were
I had
talking
never
about
heard
these,
of
and
it.
you were like, "What is it? Is it like 6 burgers on top of
I
each
thought it
other?"
was like, you know when you go to Harold's Deli
Yeah.
and it's like this big of a sandwich, and
Sure.
yeah, that's what I thought it.
Yeah.
So the company, the Impossible people and the Beyond
Meat,
people,
yep.
they did their science magic, and they made meat. Not meat. Plants that taste exactly like meat. Now, I don't know what exactly they've done to those plants to get them to that point, you know? But yeah,
I don't want to know.
I don't think I do.
Because it has to involve injecting the flavor somehow.
I don't know. It's a good question. But we know this.
Think.
It's every day in the news.
Yeah.
Every day another major brand. So right now McDonald's is testing Beyond Meat in Canada. Burger King has the Impossible Burger.
Right.
I mean, every Dunkin' Donuts just last week announced they're bringing the Beyond Meat in for sausages. So every day it's in the news. It'll be interesting to see just where it goes in the next 1, 3, 5 years. But it's funny you bring it up just because it's news every day. Like there's a story about it every day about this category.
Yeah, I could not believe how much it tasted like meat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was astonished.
I'm sure that if you gave me a blindfold and you put, 2 burgers from the same brand, so like let's say I had like a Whopper and an Impossible Whopper, I don't know that I could tell you which
especially
one was
with
which.
all of the condiments. Like I took.
Oh yeah, sure.
So I was having lunch with a friend and she ordered a burger with like all the stuff, and I took a forkful of a corner sticking out of the bun. So my piece of meat didn't have ketchup or pickle or onion, anything. It was just the meat. Again, I'm using air quotes. Just the meat, and it still tasted great.
Yeah.
Like even without all of the toppings.
Yeah.
I was shocked.
So now the other end of the thing there is that, like, when I first had it, I was like, oh wow, well if this is the case, like, I'll eat this from now on. I don't care. But apparently it's not really healthier for you, or
the calorie count is
what do you
the
call
same.
it? The jury is still out
Okay.
on whether or not it's healthier for you. We went on to the Burger King website and we compared like the calorie count and the fatty and the sodium from a regular Whopper to an Impossible Whopper, and there wasn't a dramatic difference.
Interesting. Okay.
Didn't you say the sodium was different?
The sodium was dramatically higher in the Impossible version.
Yeah.
And I think the fat was lower.
That makes
But
sense.
the calories were comparable. I think it was maybe like 20 less on the Impossible side. But yeah, so maybe if they can, and I know that this is now the second recipe. It's like Impossible Whopper, not Impossible Whopper, Impossible Burger 2.0. They have said that when they get to 3.0, because I'm following this with great interest now.
Wow.
When we get to 3.0, they are trying to make advancements and really bring that down.
Sure.
So that it is more of an objective, like, yeah, obviously I want to get in on that kind of a decision.
But to your point, I'm following it too, because every day, it's taking up more space in supermarkets. They're having larger footprint there, more restaurants. Eventually, McDonald's, as I said, they're testing Beyond Meat in Canada, which made news about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Eventually, who knows? Maybe they'll have Beyond Meat in the States. So it's interesting just to see where it all goes. And again, only time will tell. Does this category really explode and take over, or does it fade into the? We'll see. Again, 5, 10 years from now, we'll see.
Sure.
I have to believe that it's only going to expand.
I would think so too.
I mean, the way that climate change is attached to the meat industry, or vice versa, the more that makes the news, the more people are going to. I mean, there are a lot of reasons to be a vegetarian. I have failed at it so many times because of bacon. Bacon always brings me
Bacon is
down.
incredible.
But there are a lot of really, really good reasons to become a vegetarian. And as Gen Z really comes of age and gets, becomes major consumers, I think that, it's just going to grow.
Well, you touch on something with Gen Z, whether it's food or other. They really look to align and support companies who have a higher purpose. So the purpose isn't just selling us something.
To make money.
But is there, as I talk about the idea of purpose over profits. So are they putting a purpose over just selling? More than just a transaction? What are they doing for our environment, for society, for the world? And so that is something that Gen Z does look at pretty closely, and then they decide whether they're going to support that company by purchasing their products or not. So,
Hey, wait, segue. So tell us some more, about career and transition. Speaking of Gen Z, right?
Well, the inspiration for career and transition. So, thank you very much for the segue. So, 2017, I wrote my first book, 101 Lessons They Never Taught You in College. This book was in response to my students who, after class, would email me, call me, text me, and say, Absolutely.
Thank you.
How do I get an internship? How do I write my resume? How do I conduct a phone interview versus an in-person interview? How do I get those cup of coffee or pizza meetings? And so I took all the answers and turned them into these kind of 101 pithy lessons. Everything from how to write a note after you get done a meeting to, again, how to conduct a phone or a
These
Skype
are
interview.
great lessons. They're really short. Like
Short, yeah.
Lesson 24 is anything is possible. 25 is be happy. And there's like a couple of quick paragraphs on each.
Oh, yeah.
And they're good.
And so
Work
this...
hard, be nice. I have a T-shirt that says that.
There we go.
Work hard, be nice. Yes.
So this book...
They owe you some royalties on that.
So this book came out, and it got a lot of major media coverage, but then I got a call from just down the road here, a career support group in Princeton, New Jersey, meets every Friday morning at 10 o'clock Friday morning. And they said, we saw you wrote the book, can you come speak? I said, well, the book was really for college students. They said, no, we read the book. We think it applies to people in their 30s,
Totally
their 40s,
does.
their 50s.
See, they didn't cold call you. They read the book.
Exactly, yes. And so I delivered that first speech to probably 100 people who attend this meeting every week. Now, again, the audience changes because as people get jobs, they don't attend anymore, but it's folks who are in transition.
That's great.
And then as I did one of those meetings turned to two, and I ended up doing 15 or 16. The most recent was early this year. There's an organization in East Brunswick who meets once every month. It's called the Breakfast Club of New Jersey. They started right after 9/11 when a lot of people were out of work.
Yeah.
And so Frank Kovacs, who I co-authored the book with, on his own, at a diner, said we need to start an organization, nonprofit, just help people, volunteer-based organization. 18, 19 years later, they've helped tens of thousands of people get jobs. And just 2 weeks ago, Frank and I distributed these books to everyone in attendance. There were probably 100 or more people in the audience that day, gave them these books. But it was really about just saying that, as we talked earlier, there's a lot of people out there who want to help you. One of the lessons in here is it takes a village. You may feel like you're on an island when you're out of work, but there are a lot of people who want to help. You just need to kind of mobilize what I call your army. Get them involved. Let them know where do you want to go next. So this book is all about that. It's 101 lessons on that transition when you're in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, your 60s. Because for a lot of those folks, they may have had that job, to your point, for the last 15 or 20 years. They haven't even looked at their resume in 15 years. They haven't dusted it off. The last time they got a job, all this technology probably wasn't involved. It was probably good old school face-to-face, where today, there's these things called applicant tracking systems. You send your resume and a robot and a computer is reading it, and if your resume has enough terms to match up with the job description, maybe you'll get a job interview, maybe. And so it really talks about, in 2020, how do I secure my next opportunity now that I'm out of work, and what are all the things I can do? And so this has been a great book. People who are out of work and have gotten it in one way or another have just said, this helped me so much. The other thing we have in this book is we interviewed a lot of folks who were in transition the last year or two. And so their advice, what helped them, how they got to their next job, it's all in here. They talk about exactly what worked well for them. It may not work for everybody. First chapter is exactly that. It's your journey is unique. There's no two journeys that are the same, because again, it's based on your experience. It's based on your what I call your army, all your network. It's based on a lot of different things, your occupation, your industry, all those things. But people want to help. They just need to be asked for. You just got to go out there and ask them. So it's an interesting. This book is. Received a lot of attention, and it's funny, we're not in a recession right now, but I could see if we were, or in that place where more people were out of work, obviously this becomes, again, a helpful guide to just how do I get to that next place in my career.
Sure, where do you get one?
So that's on Amazon. Career in Transition is on Amazon, and as I mentioned, I co-authored with Frank Kovacs, who's a fascinating man who, again, on his own, started this organization, the Breakfast Club New Jersey, right after the 9/11 attacks. And you go up there on a Saturday in East Brunswick, and it's a room full of 100 plus. The majority are out of work, but what I love and what's so inspiring, in fact, the meeting we were at in early October 12th, folks who used to be in the meetings now have jobs come back and they share, here's how I got my job, here's what helped me, here was kind of my tricks of the trade they got. And so they come back and share that. So it gives people in the room hope, it gives people in the room insights, and people leave there really feeling like, okay, I'm re-energized. Because that's the other thing too, a lot of ups, a lot of downs. Might have just had, as you said, a great pizza slice meeting. I walk out of it, man, I had a great meeting. All right, haven't heard from that guy in 5 days. So now you go back down a little bit. So it's an interesting journey.
So, given the state of the market and wages and jobs and things like that, the unemployment rate is very low right now,
Yep.
and so finding people to fill positions is a challenge. Is there a website with like the names of the people or their skill set so that people who are looking, who are not having any luck?
Yeah. So one place, again, if you're watching this and you're in this great state of New Jersey or even nearby, just one source, there's many, but if you go to the Breakfast Club NJ, search them on Google, they've got Facebook pages, they've got a website, all that. Every day without fail, they are sending out 10, 15, 20, 25 jobs in the great state of New Jersey,
awesome.
Pennsylvania, New York, without fail. As well as just lots of great advice, how to improve and evolve your resume, how to use LinkedIn to your advantage. So that's just one source. There are other sources like that. So I call them career support networking groups. They may go by different names, but throughout New Jersey, there's at least a dozen of these. Princeton, Hamilton, Somerville, Eatontown, East Brunswick, those are just a few. They really are all over the state. So it's this kind of support-based organization or volunteer-based organization where they're on the front line helping people every day get that next job, and just an incredible group.
It's awesome.
Cool.
Love it.
So say somebody wants to get a hold of you, how can they do that?
Oh, that's a good. Well, I'm on Twitter at Mark Beal PR, which is not a bad way to get me. Of course, LinkedIn, Mark Beal on LinkedIn. I don't know. I'm sure there's a few other Mark Beal. So I'm the Mark Beal, that professor at Rutgers University.
It's BEAL.
BEAL. So I think LinkedIn is always a good way. I get a lot of every day when I leave here. I'm sure I'll have 10 or 12 people, asking to connect on LinkedIn. Twitter's not a bad way either. At least through those channels. And then typically what I'll do with someone is I'll say, here's my email or here's my phone number. Why don't we get together for that pizza slice meeting? Or why don't we hop on the phone?
We're going to have to do this now.
Strategize.
Like, it's
we
going to have to be a thing we do.
Maybe here. We get pizza here as part of the show.
That's brilliant.
We always talk about a working
We
lunch.
talked about that like on Spadia's show. Remember when we had Bill Spady on? We talked about how we're going to have the pizza right on the table.
Yeah.
We haven't done it yet. We should totally do it.
That's a great idea.
I like that idea. So we would be talking and eating on air.
Yeah, you know what the problem is that I'd be eating and it'd be like my turn to talk and I'd be like,
I know. I'd
Throw
be
it to
doing the
Kate,
same thing. I'd be like, just give me a minute.
I like the title though, working lunch. No, as far as I like that for a
Absolutely, it's a
nice,
working lunch. For a title for a show, yeah, absolutely.
I think it's a good one.
it's a free idea.
There we go.
go.
Well, you guys own it right now.
Okay,
You own it,
come to
all
us.
right?
And
You
we'll
own it.
license it to you.
We'll
Yeah.
sell it to you for
You
Christmas.
look at, quick sidebar, but you look at, Jerry Seinfeld, comedians in cars getting coffee.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty simple concept,
Very.
but
Sure.
it's now on Netflix and it's watched by millions, so working lunch, yes.
Okay.
I
I like this. I like this idea a lot. CNBC's got nothing on Power Lunch. Working Lunch is going to be the new show.
It'll be
I
the
like
third podcast of the New Jersey Business and Industry
We just need
Association.
to come up with a concept.
Exactly.
Got the title.
And a
you go.
sponsor, pizza sponsor. That's the
Love
easy
it.
part.
Absolutely. You're the second person today who's talked to me about a food sponsor. Somebody said that we should get a sponsor for the merch and have it be like Starbucks. Other people's business powered by Starbucks.
I have
Wouldn't
no-
that be fun? Except
Wasn't it
it's-
Zane that said we should start sprinkling these around at Starbucks, so people would be in Starbucks,
Oh,
drinking the
that's
mugs.
right. I forgot about that. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Well, or again, we're primarily New Jersey focused, right?
Right.
So I would even go to like a Rook Coffee, who's become a great business here in New Jersey, primarily in Monmouth and Ocean County, but incredible reputation, great brand, and I'm sure there's one or two others in the state who have a chain, but they've got 13, 14 locations, They would be here in a second with their coffee and their mugs and supporting you. I know they would. So maybe it's Jersey-based
interesting.
businesses that are sponsoring and supporting the show.
I like it. I like
Jersey
it.
Mike's,
Sort
Rook
of like
Coffee.
NJM.
Exactly, the
Sort
official
of-
sponsor of the show.
the official sponsor of the show,
Absolutely.
New Jersey
Absolutely.
Manufacturers. Yeah.
So now we just get other categories.
I like it.
Coffee, food,
Yeah.
and some others.
Cool.
Except we don't drink coffee. We always just drink water.
Oh,
Oh well, it's fine
A
now.
little bit of inside baseball.
All right, I think that's the show.
That's our show.
So thank you to our listeners, especially the subscribers. We totally love you. Thank you. Thank you to NJM, New Jersey Manufacturers. They do home, auto, and workers' comp. They're the official sponsor of the show, and we appreciate them. And thank you again to Mark Beal for being here today.
this was great.
Yeah.
I conduct interviews every week, radio, television, you name it. this was by far the best because
Thank you. Flattering.
I love the long form. I love the long form. It doesn't feel like it's 3 minutes and you're off air. So you guys really delve in the topic.
Check it out while you're driving or whenever you want.
But at the same time,
absolutely.
you make it fun too. So it's fun,
try.
engaging. It's just what Gen Z wants.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Speaking of which, Career in Transition. Now I had to look for the title even though I knew it. Career in Transition. Check it out on Amazon.
And Audible as well, right? It's coming to Audible
But yeah,
soon?
we're excited. First of my 4 books that will be on Audible by the end of the year, and the guy who's doing the voiceover right now is exceptional job. So we're looking forward to it.
Yay.
Sweet.
Fabulous. All right, we'll see you next time. Bye.